Officer Thomas Bryant's body cam captured the scene at 11:47 p.m. on August 3, 2024. A cream-colored Toyota Camry stopped in the middle of Greenwood Avenue in Bend, Oregon. Front end destroyed. Hood crumpled. Headlight glass scattered across 2 lanes. The motorcycle 20 feet ahead, its front wheel still turning. A man sitting on the curb, uninjured but shaking, and another man lying motionless on the pavement. Officer Rebecca Flores checked for a pulse. She found one. Weak. Irregular. The motorcyclist's helmet was cracked completely through. His left leg bent at an unnatural angle. Blood pooled beneath his shoulder. Fire and rescue arrived within 6 minutes. He was loaded onto a stretcher, rushed to St. Charles Bend Hospital. His name was Kevin Martinez, 42 years old, a civil engineer who'd worked for the city of Bend for 14 years. He designed water systems, bridge repairs, infrastructure projects that most people never noticed but everyone relied on. He rode a 2019 Yamaha MT-07, black with red trim. He'd owned it for 3 years. His wife Elena had made him promise to always wear his helmet, always use his lights, always ride defensive. He did all of those things. Kevin had been riding home from his brother's house. It was a Saturday night. His brother Marco lived 6 miles away. They'd watched a basketball game together, ate leftover pizza, talked about their father's upcoming birthday. Kevin left at 11:35 p.m. The route home was simple. Straight down Greenwood Avenue for 4 miles, then a right turn onto his street. He would never make that turn. The impact occurred at the intersection of Greenwood and Franklin. Security footage from a gas station 1 block away captured the collision. The motorcycle's headlight visible in the frame, traveling at approximately 35 miles per hour, exactly the speed limit. Then the Camry entering the intersection from Franklin without stopping. The Camry struck the motorcycle's right side. Kevin was thrown 15 feet. His bike tumbled another 20. The Camry never braked before impact. David Patterson, the driver, pulled over immediately, got out of his car, sat down on the curb. He was 34 years old, a software developer who worked remotely for a tech company in Portland. No prior accidents, no criminal record. He'd been driving home from a friend's house. He told Officer Bryant he didn't see the motorcycle, that it happened so fast, that he was so sorry. Bryant asked him if he'd been drinking. Patterson said no. A breathalyzer confirmed it. 0.00 blood alcohol content. No signs of drug impairment. No mechanical failure in the vehicle. Clear weather. Dry roads. Good visibility. Patterson kept asking if Kevin was going to be okay. At 2:16 a.m. on August 4th, Kevin Martinez died at St. Charles Bend Hospital. Severe head trauma, internal bleeding, multiple fractures. Elena arrived at the hospital 14 minutes after he did. She got to say goodbye. He never regained consciousness. At 11:30 p.m., Kevin Martinez put on his helmet in his brother's driveway. Marco walked him out. They hugged. Marco said to drive safe. Kevin said he always did. The Yamaha's engine started on the first try. Kevin pulled out onto the residential street, heading toward Greenwood Avenue. He was thinking about the game they'd watched. The Blazers won in overtime. He was thinking about his father's birthday party next weekend. Elena wanted to rent a pavilion at the park. Kevin thought that was a good idea. He didn't know he had 6 minutes left. At 11:35 p.m., David Patterson left his friend's apartment complex on the east side of Bend. His friend Chris had invited him over to test a new video game. They'd played for 3 hours. Patterson was tired, but not exhausted. Alert enough to drive. He pulled onto Franklin Avenue, heading west toward his apartment. His phone was in the cup holder. It buzzed at 11:37 p.m. A text from his girlfriend Ashley. She was asking when he'd be home. Patterson glanced at it. Didn't respond yet. He'd text her when he got to a stoplight. Another text came through at 11:39 p.m. Patterson was driving through a commercial area. No traffic, no lights. He glanced down at the phone. Ashley was asking if he wanted her to wait up or go to bed. Patterson picked up the phone with his right hand, kept his left hand on the wheel, started typing with his thumb. The road ahead was straight, empty, He'd driven it 100 times. At 11:41 p.m., Kevin Martinez merged onto Greenwood Avenue. The street was 4 lanes, 2 in each direction. Posted speed limit 35 miles per hour. Kevin maintained exactly that speed. His headlight was on, his brake light functional, his position in the lane perfectly legal. He approached the intersection of Greenwood and Franklin. At 11:42 p.m., David Patterson was still typing. His girlfriend had sent another message. She wanted to know if he'd eaten dinner. Patterson was responding, telling her he'd had pizza at Chris's place. His eyes were on the phone screen, his thumb moving across the keyboard. He approached the stop sign at Franklin and Greenwood. Security footage from a Shell station 1 block south captured what happened next. The timestamp, 11:43:17 p.m. Kevin Martinez's motorcycle entered the intersection. Headlight clearly visible, speed consistent, no erratic movement. From the right, David Patterson's Camry rolled through the stop sign without slowing. Patterson's head was tilted down. His right hand held the phone, his left hand on the wheel, turning slightly to make the left onto Greenwood. The Camry entered the intersection directly into Kevin's path. Kevin had less than 2 seconds. He braked hard. The motorcycle's rear wheel lifted slightly, evidence of maximum braking force. He tried to swerve left. Not enough time. Not enough distance. The Camry's front bumper struck the motorcycle's right side at approximately 25 miles per hour. The impact crushed the bike's frame, snapped the front fork, threw Kevin into the air. His body rotated once before hitting the pavement head first. His helmet cracked on impact. He tumbled another 10 feet before coming to rest. The Camry's airbags deployed. Patterson's phone fell from his hand onto the passenger seat. The car rolled another 30 feet before Patterson hit the brakes and stopped. For 3 seconds, nothing moved. Then Patterson opened his door, got out, looked at the wreckage, looked at Kevin lying motionless on the pavement. Patterson walked forward 2 steps, then sat down on the curb. His phone was still in the car. The text message to Ashley, still on the screen, unsent. The timestamp, 11:43 p.m. Officer Bryant secured the scene within minutes. He photographed the Camry's position, the motorcycle's final resting place, the skid marks on the pavement. Flores radioed for traffic investigators. The intersection was closed. Flares set up 50 yards in each direction. Bryant returned to Patterson, asked him again what happened. Patterson said he was driving home, that he didn't see the motorcycle until it was too late, that he thought maybe he'd stopped at the sign. He couldn't remember clearly. Everything happened so fast. Bryant asked if Patterson had been using his phone. Patterson hesitated, then said no. Bryant walked back to the Camry. The phone was still in the cup holder, screen now dark. Bryant photographed it in place, then secured it as evidence. He didn't touch it, didn't unlock it. That would require a warrant. Traffic investigators arrived at 12:15 a.m. They measured skid marks, documented the point of impact, collected debris from both vehicles. The motorcycle's position indicated it had been traveling straight through the intersection. The Camry's position indicated it had failed to stop at the sign. The gas station security footage confirmed it. Investigators obtained the video at 1:30 a.m. The angle was from 1 block away, but the intersection was clearly visible. The footage showed Kevin's headlight approaching, then the Camry entering from the right without stopping. The collision. Kevin's body hitting the pavement, and it showed something else. The footage was grainy at that distance, but investigators enhanced it frame by frame. In the moments before impact, the Camry's interior was visible through the windshield, light from the dashboard, and another light source, smaller, brighter, lower. The glow of a phone screen illuminating Patterson's face from below. The footage showed Patterson's head tilted down for 7 continuous seconds before entering the intersection. At 3:45 a.m., investigators obtained a warrant for Patterson's phone records and device contents. The phone was processed at 6:30 a.m. The text message conversation with Ashley was still open on the screen. The last message in the thread was incomplete, typed, but never sent. The timestamp on Patterson's last completed message, 11:42:48 p.m. The timestamp on the collision, 11:43:17 p.m. Investigators pulled the phone's activity log. It showed continuous screen activity from 11:37 p.m. to 11:43 p.m. Text messages opened, typed, sent. The screen had been active during the entire approach to the intersection, during the roll through the stop sign. During the moment, Kevin Martinez's motorcycle entered Patterson's path. Patterson's phone also logged his driving data: speed, GPS position, acceleration. The data showed the Camry traveling at 23 miles per hour when it entered the intersection. It never slowed at the stop sign, never paused, never stopped. By 9 o'clock a.m., investigators had interviewed Chris, Patterson's friend from earlier that evening. Chris confirmed Patterson had been sober, alert, and normal when he left. No impairment, no distress. They interviewed Ashley. She confirmed she'd been texting Patterson while he was driving. She said she didn't think about it. She assumed he'd respond when he got home, or when he stopped. She didn't know he was typing while driving. By noon on August 4th, the evidence was conclusive. David Patterson had been actively using his phone for 6 continuous minutes while driving. He'd been typing a text message when he failed to stop at the intersection. He'd been looking at his phone screen when his vehicle struck Kevin Martinez's motorcycle. Kevin died at the hospital 90 minutes later. The investigation moved quickly. Within 48 hours, traffic investigators completed their reconstruction of the collision. The evidence was unambiguous. Patterson had run a stop sign while distracted by his phone. He'd struck a motorcyclist who had the right of way. The motorcyclist died as a direct result. On August 6th, investigators presented their findings to the Deschutes County District Attorney's Office. The physical evidence, the phone records, the security footage, the witness statements, everything pointed to the same conclusion. Patterson had been criminally negligent, but there was a complication. Oregon law defined vehicular homicide as causing death through reckless driving or while under the influence. Patterson wasn't drunk. His speed was reasonable. The distracted driving itself, looking at his phone while approaching an intersection, constituted negligence. But prosecutors would need to prove it crossed the threshold into criminal recklessness. The DA's office reviewed the case for 6 days. Patterson had been using his phone continuously for 6 minutes. He'd been typing a text message while approaching a marked intersection with a stop sign. He'd failed to stop completely. He'd failed to check for cross traffic. He'd entered the intersection blind. A motorcyclist with a headlight was struck and killed. On August 12th, the DA filed charges: criminally negligent homicide, failure to obey a traffic control device, reckless driving. If convicted on all counts, Patterson faced up to 5 years in prison. Patterson retained an attorney immediately. His lawyer argued that while Patterson had made a terrible mistake, it didn't rise to the level of criminal negligence, that he hadn't intended to hurt anyone, that he was devastated by what happened, that this was a tragic accident, not a crime. The evidence told a different story. Investigators obtained additional phone records. They showed Patterson had a history of texting while driving. His phone logs revealed hundreds of text messages sent during times when GPS data showed he was operating his vehicle. On 12 separate occasions in the 6 months before the collision, his phone had been actively used while he was driving through intersections. He'd done this before, many times. He'd simply never hit anyone. Elena Martinez provided a victim impact statement to prosecutors. She described Kevin's careful nature, how he always followed traffic laws, how he wore all his safety gear, how he'd done everything right. She described learning that her husband had been killed by someone who couldn't wait to send a text message. The case proceeded to trial in February 2025. David Patterson was arrested on August 12, 2024, at his apartment in Bend. Officers arrived at 7:30 a.m. Patterson answered the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt. He didn't resist. He'd been expecting this. He was transported to the Deschutes County Jail and booked on 3 charges: criminally negligent homicide, failure to obey a traffic control device, and reckless driving. His bail was set at $50,000. His family posted it within 6 hours. Patterson was 34 years old. He'd worked as a software developer for 8 years. No criminal history. No prior traffic violations beyond a speeding ticket in 2019. He lived alone. His girlfriend Ashley had broken up with him 4 days after the collision. At his arraignment, Patterson pleaded not guilty to all charges. His attorney argued this was a tragic accident, not a crime. That Patterson had made a mistake, but didn't deserve prison. The judge scheduled a trial date for February 2025. Prosecutors built their case over the following months. They compiled Patterson's phone records showing his pattern of texting while driving. They enhanced the security footage to clearly show the phone's glow illuminating his face. They documented the intersection, the stop sign clearly visible, well-maintained, properly positioned. They interviewed collision reconstruction experts who confirmed Kevin had no opportunity to avoid impact. Patterson's attorney argued that Oregon's negligent homicide statute required proof of conscious disregard for a substantial risk. That, while using a phone while driving was dangerous, millions of people did it every day. That Patterson didn't consciously understand he was creating a deadly risk. The prosecution countered with Patterson's own phone history. 6 months of texting while driving. 12 instances of using his phone through intersections. He'd been warned by the risk repeatedly. Every time he got behind the wheel with his phone in his hand. He'd simply gotten lucky until he didn't. Kevin Martinez had no such luck. The trial lasted 8 days. The jury deliberated for 11 hours. On February 24, 2025, David Patterson was found guilty of criminally negligent homicide and reckless driving. He was acquitted on the failure to obey traffic control device charge, a technicality based on jury instructions. But the 2 convictions carried substantial prison time. At sentencing on March 15, 2025, Elena Martinez spoke. She told the court about Kevin's morning routine, how he always kissed her goodbye before his motorcycle rides, how he'd worked on infrastructure that kept people safe, how he'd followed every rule and still ended up dead because someone couldn't wait to send a text. Patterson's attorney presented character witnesses. Friends testified that he was kind, responsible, devastated by what happened. His parents pleaded for leniency. Patterson himself gave a statement. He apologized. He cried. He said he'd live with the guilt forever. The judge sentenced him to 4 years in prison, 2 years for the negligent homicide conviction, 2 years for the reckless driving conviction, to be served consecutively. With credit for time served, Patterson would be eligible for release in 2029. He's currently serving his sentence at Snake River Correctional Institution in Ontario, Oregon. His earliest release date is August 2028. Oregon passed a new law in June 2025, Kevin's Law. It increased penalties for drivers who cause death or serious injury while using electronic devices. First offense, minimum 1 year in prison. Second offense, minimum 5 years. The law closed loopholes that had made distracted driving difficult to prosecute. Elena Martinez advocated for the law. She attended the bill signing. She said it wouldn't bring Kevin back, but maybe it would save someone else. Kevin Martinez was 42 years old. He wore his helmet. He used his lights. He followed every traffic law. He did everything right. David Patterson thought he could send one more text. He thought he had time. He thought wrong. Kevin died because someone was typing.